show.
Yeah.
The last one I know.
And they had, after the weekend, it's a board's meeting.
Yeah.
Rabbi, beautiful job with the teenagers on Friday night. And you spoke brilliantly on Shabbos morning, and the ladies enjoyed the class by Minka. But Rabbi, we have a most critical need here. Are you Episabal Kelly? So he says, no, but I'm engaged.
Your father-in-law wasn't in the scrap business, huh?
Uh-huh.
He was with the family?
Fine.
Your father-in-law was in the family scrap business
Initially. And then he went out on his own.
in Binghamton.
Hesh.
Who was Marvin?
What?
Who was Marvin?
Marvin was his cousin.
Any statements left in Williamsport?
Yes, I think there might be. I don't know. No, I don't know if there's any. Yes, there is one that was still left in Williamsport. From that older generation.
They were members of a school in Scranton.
Mhm.
When I was 20 years ago.
Year of learning, Isaac and Evelyn Blachor in memory of his sister Chaya Rachel Bas Isser. Friends of Leonie Meisel and Leah Sabra Bas Chanuk Zundel. Friends of Melaskotsky, Moshe Zelig Ben Mordechai. Martin Lippman and family in memory of his wife Malka Chana Bas Pinchas. Friends of Herb Jeremiah Tzvi Ben Zeb. Friends of Sam Coleman Shmuel Ben Yaakov. Friends of Gideon Lazinski Mordechai Shlomo Ben Meir. Bella and David Adler in memory of her father, Eliyahu ben Yosef Cohen. Those who were inspired by Rebbetzin Emerita Sheila Shapiro, Sarah Esther Malka Bat Meshulam Yisachar. They have a month of learning by Judith and Michael Poretsky in memory of her mother, Razel Bas Yehuda Leib, by Stanley Presser in memory of his wife, Chayaleah Bas Zev Cohen, Malki and Rabbi Dr. Yankee Honig, in memory of her aunt, Emma Etel Bat Shimon, Carol and Josh Sanborn, in memory of her mother, Yita Bat Nachman Ben Yaman. A week of learning by Ruth Kostman in memory of her son, Israel Yosef Ben Shmuel, Alan Blumenfeld in memory of his mother, Fege Bat Pinchas, Marcia and Gary Schrager in memory of her father, Shmuel Ben Meir, Sharon and Heshi Sokol in memory of her mother, Chana Bas Chaim Yitzchak, Lenny Bahar in memory of her husband, Yitzchak Ben Menachem, Clara and Jonas Wazer, in honor of the marriage of their grandson, Matthew Wazer, to Shana Davis. Now, I have next week. I don't have today's. There is today, I think, Bob and Judy Thaler have,
And Bob,
and Bob Rumber. I don't have this week's, the old listing. Okay. So we will keep those in mind as well. Okay, you want this new one?
what's that? No,
The
do I want that for?
list of the dead people.
Oh, that's next week's?
This is the coming week. And I printed it out in large print for you too. How do you like that?
Oh, Mordecai Shkrek and Aliyah.
Right?
You see, you're so thoughtful.
Okay.
Don't know my name.
Well, I knew Mordecai.
Michael Mordecai, whatever you want.
I didn't know what was yours, Ben Yosef.
How come I'm cardless?
How come you're cardless? Because it meant that the card must have been pulled out after the last time you
Never
had
returned.
and not put back in its place. Okay, that's all I can guess. All right.
Right.
All right. So where are we today?
In Boca Raton.
Yes, I know that.
Century Village.
Okay. We maybe. Okay. Okay. All right, we were discussing the issue on the bottom of Chet Amud Beis, okay, where the Gemara talked about trying to make a comparison, okay, about writing property and mentioning the freedom for a servant, a Canaanite servant.
Not mentioned.
Okay, well, wait a second. Okay, and the question of depending on the language of the text, okay, whether you were dividing the statement or not dividing the statement, whether only he himself was free and he didn't gain the property, so on and so forth. That was the back and forth, right? So that's where we see the Gemara telling us, Male Rav Ada bar Matnana l'Rava, Kemana Quinahum Karabi Shimon, the Amar Pogin and Dibura. That's where he said that. So Rava followed that view, it seems, of Rabbi Shimon. The Tnan Hakotev Kol Mechasav La'avdo Yatsa Ben Chorin. Okay, that for the individual Canaanite servant would become free. She'er karka kolshu, if he allowed any or withheld any land, property, whatever. Lo yatsa ben chorin, he did not become free. Then we rolled over. Rabbi Shimon Omer, the top of Tet, today's Amud. La'olam hu ben chorin. He argued, no, the person he is going to be free. Why? Ad shiomar kol nechasai netunim leploni of the chutz mi'achad meribo shabahem. That's where we stopped yesterday. In other words, even a small amount, 1,000th, so to speak, of the property, 10,000, okay, withholding any even amount of property would hold back the individual from becoming free, okay? So that's where we're picking up. On the top of Tet Amud Aleph, a couple lines down from the top of the Amud. Okay. V'ha'amar Rav Yosef bar Minyomi. Okay. Amar Rav Nachman, in the name of Rav Nachman. Afa pisha kiles Rabbi Yossi et Rabbi Shimon. Despite the fact that Rabbi Yossi praised Rabbi Shimon, what happens? Halacha ka Rabbi Meir. The law, however, is not like him, but the law is like Rabbi Meir, as we learn in the following Braita. Right? Okay, Tanya, namely, Kashene Amrud Varim Lefnei Rabbi Yossi. Okay, when they said the words before Rabbi Yossi, Kara Alav Hamikra Hazeh, he recited the following textual citation. Okay, Sfatayim Yishak Meshiv Dvarim Nichochim. He said, he shall be kissed upon the lips that gives the correct or right answer. Umi Amar Rav Nachman Hachi. So the Gemara said, did Rav Nachman really say that? Okay, statement, right? Amar Rav Yosef Bar Minyomi. But didn't Rav Yosef Bar Minyomi, Amar Rav, in the name of Rav, say the following? Shchiv Meira, a person that is in their death throes, so to speak. Shekatav kol nechasav la'avdo, who writes all of his property to his servant. Va'amad, and I'm going to say here, he recovers and is able to get up. Okay. Choser b'nechasim, all of the property returns back to him. Okay. Ve'eno choser ba'eved, but the servant, however, still gains the freedom. Okay. Choser b'nechasim. Okay, you say that the property returns, what? Matnat shchit meirahu, but it is the gift of person in their death throes, so to speak. Ve'eno choser be'eved, and the implication is, but it doesn't mean that the servant returns back to their servitude. Shaharei yatsa alav shem ben chorin, because we say here that clearly that he has regained, or he has gained a freedom because he's been declared, in a sense, a free person, which means, therefore, that you could be able to divide the statements. Okay? Ela Amar Rav Ashi, says Rav Ashi the following: Hatam, there in the case of the halachot like Rabbi Meir, Hainu Tama Mishum Dalav Krut Gita. Because there we're talking about a situation where there isn't really a complete clear statement of, I'm going to use the word distinction, excision is the word I want to use. I cleared the situation where the document clearly cuts off and makes a distinction in the situation. Okay, Okay, we go on now in our text. Okay, Im yesh alav orarim yitkayem b'chotmav. If there are those who are going to raise complaints or challenges, let it be certified by the signatures. Now, this particular section of the Gemara, we actually saw previously. Our air comma, first of all, it says how many. Okay, all right.
We're making the assumption, since we were talking about a Shriv Meimra, that these are his heirs who are complaining about this property given away. And then we conclude, no, we're going all the way back to Gittin.
Okay,
Because otherwise it doesn't make sense.
I will accept that. Our comma, okay, regarding what complaints or challenges.
How many
Right.
individuals are needed?
Okay, what is the situation, the number of people specifically, but describe the situation. Ilema are erchad. If you're going to say that the challenge is raised by a single individual, if that's the situation, va'amar Rabbi Yochanan. But did not Rabbi Yochanan tell us, divrei hakol ein ar prachot mishnayim, that everybody is in agreement that a challenge must come based on two. Ve'ela rather, our air trey, if it's two, trey v'trey ninhu, then you have 2 versus 2, 2 challenging and 2 who are the witnesses. Okay, my chazit to samach dahan, because you could argue then, why are you relying on these? Samocha hani, rely on these. Ella our air de Baal. But what we're talking about here is the challenging of the get by the husband as perhaps a forgery or something else. Yes.
Does that mean that both sets of witnesses come together? Because if once it's confirmed, it should be confirmed.
It was never actually confirmed.
Okay.
It was the guy said, I saw it written, I saw it
Okay.
signed.
Zev, you and well, I'm going to give an example. Zev, you and Shraga 5 are the witnesses on the document. You're coming there. The Beis Din has asked the 2 of you to come to certify your witnesses. All of a sudden, Ruvain and Mordechai come forward and they say,
Drag me into it.
hey,
You're pushing rid of you.
okay, what do you mean? They couldn't have signed that document. It was dated on such and such a date, and they were with us at the kollel that afternoon.
Or it's a case where they accepted the aid echad,
Okay,
and now 2 witnesses come and say we challenge.
yeah, I'm not comfortable with that, only because even though we say Eid Echad is like 2 in that situation, that's why. That's why I said 2 versus 2. Yeah. I just read the Gemara.
It can't just be a case of he said and he said.
You know, it's instead of he said and she said, right? Okay,
No, it wouldn't count if it was he said and she said.
right. Okay, Matt Neaton, let's go on, gentlemen. Some of us have got to get back to work today. Matt Neaton, Hamevi get Medina Siyam, one who was bringing a get as a messenger. And ultimately, he's going to have to testify by making the declaration. Okay? But he is not able to say labriut, okay, to make the declaration. Yeah. Im yesh alav edim, if there are witnesses, yikayem b'chotmav, let it be certified through their signatures. Okay. Echad gitei nashim ve'echad shechrurei avadim. Okay. The same item applies for bill of divorce for women, and it applies also for a document of freedom. Okay. Yes. For servants. Shavu lemolech ulamavi. And it applies whether one is bringing the document from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael, or the opposite, bringing the document from Eretz Yisrael outside. Okay? V'zo echat min hadrachim sheshavu gitei nashim l'shichrurei avadim. And this is one of the means, one of the examples by which a document of divorce for women is similar to documents of manumission of freedom for servants. Now, the Gemara is going to go into and ask the question. If you said that's one of the examples, what are the others? And we're going to see that there's a difference of opinion between listing how many, what they are, what they aren't, and then raising the question of what about this example? What about this situation? So on and so forth. Okay, so we see now how the Gemara is going to
But we gotta
progress.
deal with the silence messenger first.
Okay, so the point is, Gemara asks, our Mishnah said, okay, at the very beginning, Eino yachol lomar b'fanai nechtav b'fanai nechtam. What do we mean when we say he's not able to make the declaration? Mai eino yachol lomar. What does it mean he's not able to say? Ilei mechereish, and that's why I said we've seen this piece of Gemara before. If we say he's a deaf mute, chereish ben bar atuye gitahu is somebody who's a deaf mute capable of bringing as a messenger and giving witness, okay, as in that situation, bahatnan. But haven't we been taught elsewhere? All right, hakol ksherin lahavi et get, all are valid to bring a get, chutz michereish shotev v'katan, with the exception of the deaf mute, somebody who's not mentally competent, and a minor. Okay, because we all say that in halacha those are not ben da'at or bar da'i.
We became a mute after he.
That's
We'll
what the
see.
Gemara is going to
We'll
raise the issue.
I'd like to, I jumped ahead.
Okay, Amar Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef, Hacha b'mayas kinan, what are we talking about? Kagon shenatnu lak shehu pikeach. It's a situation when he actually delivered and gave her the get into her hand when he was still mentally competent.
And able
But-
to speak.
We're able to speak.
Okay, well, that's the implication, all right, that he was able to give it, but he did not say it then. Okay? Velo hispik lomar b'fanai nechtav u'b'fanai nechtam ad shenit charesh. But he didn't say it, the declaration, when he gave her the document, and he did not have time to say the declaration
He was saying, "I like
before
it."
he became deaf.
Deaf to you. He was hit by lightning or something.
Is there a
Alright.
certain amount of time that he has to say it when he gives it?
Toch gedei
Right,
di.
Right then. Okay. So now we continue with our Mishnah. Echad gitei nashim ve'echad shechrurei avadim. We said there's this commonality between divorce documents and documents of manumission. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan, says a Braita. Bishlosha drachim shavu gitei nashim l'shechrurei avadi. Notice at Braita, then it's the Rabbanan who are saying that there are right, three methods or three examples, three situations where there is this similarity between the divorce document and the free document for servants. Okay, number one, shavu l'molech u'lemevi. Okay, one bringing to or from Eretz Yisrael must recite the declaration. Okay, number one. Number two, v'chol get sheyesh alav eid kuti pasul chutz migitei nashim v'shechrurei avadi.
Here the first word get means document.
Okay, yeah. All right, so in other words, if we have a certain text, a document, that there is I'm going to translate kuti here as Samaritan, okay? Okay, as the witness, all right? What happens? Okay, that document is invalid with the exception of a bill of divorce or a document of free. That was the second example.
Kushi can sign for him?
A kuti,
On a get, one
on a get.
kuti.
Actually,
Not
kuti.
two,
We'll
one.
get to that in a
Well,
second.
it says one.
Yeah, no, but that's the Gemara is going to deal with that issue. Okay? That was the second, okay? Because the Gemara's got to come back and focus on that topic, okay? And the third example, B'chol hashtarot, as we go to the next Amud, ha'olim ba'archaot shel ovdei kochavim, any documents that have been brought up and discussed and adjudicated in a Gentile court, af al pi shechotmehen ovdei kochavim, even though the signatories are Gentiles, kisherin, they are considered valid. What? Chutz migite nashim v'shechrurei avadim, with the exception of bills of divorce and documents of manumission of freedom. Ukedivrei Rabbi Meir ba'arba'ah. But according to the words of Rabbi Meir, there are 4 parallels. Okay? So in other words, we're going to want to know, does Rabbi Meir agree with Rabbanan in these 3? If so, what's the 4th that he's adding? Okay? Ha'omer, who says, Rabbi Meir, Ha'omer tein get ze le'ishti, if he directs to somebody, if a husband directs someone to say, give this get to my wife.
Meaning he appoints a
Okay.
messenger.
Right? Ushtar shechrur ze la'avdi, or tells somebody to deliver a document of freedom to the servant. So in both cases, a shaliach is appointed, a
And he's the
messenger.
husband or the
Okay.
man's.
The master, well, he's representing either the husband or the master. Okay. Ratzah lachzor b'shnehem, if the master or the husband wants to take back, okay, the document in both cases, yachzor, he may take it back, you may recant, okay? Divrei Rabbi Meir, that's the view of Rabbi Meir. Now the Gemara tells us, Bishlema l'Rabbanan, that's acceptable regarding what the rabbi said in the Braita, that where they gave 3 minyana, okay, and they had a limited number of 3. Why? Lema'ute ha to Rabbi Meir. Maybe that comes to exclude the example of Rabbi Meir. Ella, the Rabbi Meir. But regarding the number 4 that Rabbi Meir says, minyana leme'ute mai. Why did we have to specify it was 4? Does it come to exclude something? Okay, lema'ute ha, Titania, to exclude that which was taught in another Braita, edim she'ein yod'in lachtom, witnesses who do not know how to sign their name. What do? Mikra'in lahem ni'ar chalak. You take a piece of paper and you create a stencil. Okay? In other words, you cut out the letters on a piece of paper.
You scratch them into
Yes.
the paper.
That's another way of
That's
doing
what
it.
it says.
No, that's what Art Scroll says. Okay? All right? Okay? So they make a kind of stencil, whether they scratch it into the paper or they cut it out. And what happens? Right? Umimalim et hakra'im dio. Okay, and then they fill in either the scratches or the cutout pieces with ink to fulfill their name. Okay? Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, B'med Varim Amorim, what are we talking about? Begite Nashi. We're talking about bills of divorce, it would appear. Aval, but, Shechrurei Avadim, but documents of freedom, Vishar Kol Hashtarot, or any other kinds of documents, Im Yod'im Lekrot V'lachtom, if they know how to read and sign their names, Chotmin, they sign. V'im Lav, and if not, Ein Chotmin, they do not sign. Okay? All right. Spend a little time. We won't go into detail, but we could spend a little time just on this section alone discussing the whole issue. So what happens? Kriya man dechar shmei, Did anybody talk here about being able to read? Is that the question? Chasuri michsura v'hachi katani. Something then is missing from this Braita, and this is how we have to teach it. Edim she'ein yod'im lekrot. Witnesses that do not know how to read, korin lifneihem. We read the document to them, v'chotmin, and then they sign. V'she'ein yodim lachtom, and if they don't know how to sign their names, mikra'in lahem. Then we follow the process mentioned above of either making scratches or making a stencil to fill in by ink. Okay, v'tu leka, and no more. In other words, you don't have any other, you're claiming there are no other parallels between Agite Nashim and Shechrurei Avadim, between these two kinds of documents. But I'm going to give you examples, says the Gemara. Vaha'ika. Okay, I'm going to, okay, but what about the following? Okay. Ha'omer tnu get zel ishto, ushtar shechrur zel avdi. Okay, precisely the example that Rabbi Meir was saying, that the master, the husband says to a messenger, okay, appoints a messenger to deliver the get for the wife, or the master appoints a messenger. Okay.
At this point, we're talking about a shliv meira who asks somebody.
Where do you get that?
What?
Where did you get
Read
that?
the next word.
I'm going to get to it in a second. In a second. Okay. That's why I didn't want to jump ahead yet. Okay. Uhamer tnu get liishti ushtar zeh leovdi vames, and then he died. Okay. So when he was making the declaration to either an individual to act as a shaliach, he was already in a shliv meira, in his death throes. Okay, what happens? Lo yitnu la'achar mita. You cannot do it. Okay, it does not, because we don't write documents for dead
when
people.
we're dead. You can't sign a contract when you're dead.
Okay.
A lot of Democrats do that when he's old.
No,
That's logic. That's not what
You didn't hear that.
So we
We're
saying that he
talking
was
in
like that
normal
when he
days.
was.
in other words,
Like I said,
they,
every
in other words,
time
if
I
he's,
miss my wife, we're divorced because she
wait,
then married
the implication is he can tell them to do it, but the document wasn't written yet. Okay? If the document wasn't, guys, one kol echad. Okay, the document was not yet written. Okay, so if the man dies, okay, they don't write the document, or the master
That's
does.
the next case.
That's what we'll get to. Okay, so what happens now? Tanu mana leploni umeit, or now we have another parallel. Okay, he says, give a certain amount of money to so and so, and then the person directing that statement dies, umeis, yitnu la'achar mita. The money can be given to the person after the deceased has died. So the problem is, how come? What's the difference? Ki katani, because when it's taught, milta delite b'shtarot, we say that this is a situation, that is not common usually with that. Milta deite b'shtarot lo katani, but the situation, okay, with regards to documents, that is not usually the situation, we're not talking about. So let's give another point. The Shalach Ravin Mishmei de Rabbi Abahu. That Ravin sent the following message on behalf of Rabbi Abahu. Okay, from Eretz Yisrael, we assume to Babel. Havu Yodim Sheshalach Rabbi Elazar Legola Mishum Rabbeinu. That you need to know that a message was sent by Rabbi Elazar to Chutz La'aretz on behalf of Rabbi Yochanan. That's who Rabbeinu here is.
No,
Rav.
it's Rav.
Rav.
It's Rav.
Okay, we'll go back and check. Okay, right? Namely, Shchiv Meira, let me make a note on that. I want to go back and check because okay. What happens? Shchiv Meira, Shamar Kidvu Utnu Manela Ploni Umeit, that a person in their death throes who basically designates, says, write and then give the money. In other words, write a document, okay, and give the money to so-and-so, and then dies. Ein kodvin v'notni. We do not write the document and give the money. Shema lo gamar lahaknoto ela bishtar. Lest it be that he does not finish the process of acquisition, okay, based
He
simply
wants the
on the
shtar
document.
to be the transfer.
Okay, ve'ein hashtar la'achar mita, and we claim that the document is not going to be valid because it was written after the death. So the document is not valid, therefore there is no transfer of the funds. Okay, so the Gemara asks, Vaha'ika lishma, but wait a second, we're going to have another question about a potential common factor between the bill of divorce and between the document for the slave, namely that it has got to be written particularly for that person, for a woman in the bill of divorce, and for that particular servant in the document of freedom. Okay? Bishlema l'Rabba. That's acceptable to Rabbah. Why? Hainu molich umevi. Why? Because that's part of the example that the shliach has to, whether he brings from Eretz Yisrael or into Eretz Yisrael, he must make the declaration. Okay? And therefore he's making the declaration and acting as a witness. And therefore you can't argue that witnesses aren't around. Okay?
No, they can't argue that it's not Lishma.
Right. Okay, but that's
Rabba
the case.
was Lishma.
Listen,
Uh,
okay?
Rabbah
That,
was-
right. Okay? Ela l'Rabba kasha, but to Rava it's problematic.
Because there's no reason.
V'tu, and furthermore, Bein l'Rabba, regardless of one, ha'ika mechuba. Okay, aren't we talking about another possibility? Okay, that aren't we saying here that there is this issue of attachment?
Kalash.
Okay, that it is
The document.
the
is not
document.
attached to the
Well,
ground.
the document when written, okay, was
attached.
still attached to something. Okay,
To the
that
ground.
was the
To the
point.
ground.
All right.
It
Okay,
was
which
written
is
on a
not the case.
tree bark.
Well, it was
or
written on a
a
large leaf or something like that, still
It's
attached to the ground.
Yeah,
Okay.
and therefore it's invalid.
Okay, right? Why? Hikatani, because it's taught psula de rabbanan. All right, that it is then invalid according to the rabbis. The oraisa lo katani, but according to the Torah, it's not. Okay, so what about we had another example. Okay,
What we're talking about, the Eraisa Lokutan, when it, Mechuber Lakarka,
is only an
is the
isur,
Rabban,
is
is
a,
the Eraisa. And when we made this list of commonalities, they were
we're only
the
talking to
Rabbanan.
rabbanas. That's the point.
The Eraisa Lokatani, we're not listing.
Listing
Things
those
that are
items,
there.
commonalities.
So now he says, yeah, but there is.
Wait a second. What about the following? Baha'archaot shelovdei kochavim. But what about the fact that we said a commonality earlier was documents adjudicated in the Gentile court? What about that? The Pesula de Oraitahu, that we indicate that those are not acceptable, valid according to the Torah. Ukatani, but nevertheless we teach Be'edei Mesira, that maybe we're talking here about a situation of the witnesses at the transmission of the get. Ukarabi Elazar, and that follows the Shita, the approach of Rabbi Elazar, who basically says, A de Masira Karte, who's going to tell us that he holds that the important set of witnesses is the witnesses at the delivery, the transmission of the get, and not the witnesses,
Anything that happens.
okay, and
before
not
is
the
irrelevant.
witnesses that are signing the document.
He's basically saying, and going to secular court doesn't change anything. It's-
Right,
we
we'll get to
ignore
that.
the past.
All right, well, I'm not gonna go that far yet,
That's what he says.
but I'm not saying that, okay? The Amar Ede Masira Karte, right? Because he holds that Rabbi Elazar, that the witnesses at the delivery, the handing over of the get are the ones that make the separation and not earlier witnesses that had been signing the document, okay? Now that hints again.
Again, it's the court. We're talking. about
Yes,
secular
yes,
court.
Michael, okay? But we're talking again about a potential another machloket that we're going to see in the topic of Gittin as to which set of witnesses are really the more important, the more significant, okay? Of course, it's always done regarding the court, okay? Vahamed de Katani Sefer, but what about the fact that it's taught later on?
Meaning the
Okay.
next mission.
Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, okay, Omer, Af Eluk Sherim, that these also are valid. Va'amar Rabbi Zera, says Rabbi Zera, Yarad Rabbi Shimon, L'shita Tosha Rabbi Elazar, that ultimately Rabbi Shimon accepted the position of Rabbi Elazar, that it is the witnesses at the transmission who are the most important. Okay, the Amar Ede Masira Karte, who says that the witnesses at the transmission, at the delivery, are the most important. Okay, Miklal, the Tanakama Savar Lo. Why? Because Tanakama is of the opinion that
Get
is not the
documents.
case, but it's what's the witnesses at the
Sign.
signing of the document are the most important. That's why I say it alludes to that potential.
Does it imply there what the reasoning for that is?
When we get to that machloket, we'll see.
Well, he said, because it's the witnessing of her receiving the get that causes the dissolution of the marriage. He said that.
Right, our
That's
school
what the
says
word
it's Rabbi
card-
Yehuda Nasi Rebbe.
That what?
The argument was before about Rabbi.
You said it was wrong?
It's Rebbe.
There's
According to
a
our
machlokes,
school, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was Rebbe.
I understand.
I'm
But if
gonna
you
go
look at
back
the
because
Meforshim, it says it's right.
Well,
But it doesn't matter because it was, these were all, point is, we're talking here about Amarayah. So the most authoritative Amira was Rav. This is not, we're talking, in other words, we're talking 150 years after.
Okay, we'll go over the next, because they're gonna raise a question about the signatories at the Gentile court.
Here Sunday morning?
No,
You say it's gonna happen.
I'm going to be on a plane already.
I don't know if I see her.
Thank you, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yes, on Sunday. Thank you.
Great prices for LL going into July.
Yes, but he can't give me the money
Don't spend it,
Tomorrow.
don't spend it before Monday, before you
How
leave.
long are you here for?
Sunday morning.
He's got all day today.
Great prices in July for LL out of JFK. Like $170 for economy. I couldn't believe it.
Where?
How long?
170?
This crazy price I saw.
We'll be,
That's
I
very
don't know how
low.
true, I know how true it is.
we're coming back on August 1st.
My grandson sent this, I couldn't believe it.
It's funny, it seems like so far away, but the light goes so fast. You need any help today?
I don't think so. We're busy today trying to pack and get ready for Yom Tov. And I discovered that I'm I have one shelf left, one shelf left to finish up in the main room. Oh, it's still quite a lot. Because those are the ones, all the books and things that are gonna go in the room where the computers.
You know where to go.
But certain stuff got mixed in, apparently, when I was packing, there's a chance that, so.
You want it to perfectly.
What? It would be nice, if I got it all in. But, that's.
I always think this is a nice thing.
So I will be, I will be doing the job, tomorrow and Shabbos. Tomorrow in the afternoon. Yeah. Just like it's done, just like on Shabbos. What? Yeah. Okay, I'll be right there.
I think it's a very big collection. Kenny, I don't see it chasing the saw.
Thank you, thank you. We're gonna see Jeremy and his mishpacha. He
He
already.
doesn't know me, he was my nephew.
Oh,
I think they're the same conference in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah?
Very strange.
Very good.
Well,
Take care. Good morning. That's for your site for Bob Rumberg's mother. Closet guy, I mean, one, painters are coming one week, the closet guy is coming the following week. Okay,
It's interesting because I usually try to look at.
you know what,
Sometimes.